What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this episode of Curiosity Cooks. Before we get into it, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, we like to make videos about cooking on a budget and being curious when we're in the kitchen. So today we've got a great video for you. We're making some stuffed poblano peppers. One of my favorites. Poblanos were on sale this week, 59 cents each. Very, very cheap. So let's get into it. Our main ingredients for this recipe are, we're gonna do two ways, a vegetarian one and a non-veg. So we're gonna use chorizo for our non-veg, poblano peppers. Obviously we're gonna roast these and then we're gonna cut them up and stuff them. Some chopped red onion, chopped red bell pepper, chopped green bell pepper. We've got our array of spices, salt, taco seasoning, my own homemade taco seasoning, a little bit of bouillon powder, paprika, cumin, cayenne pepper, and a little bit of oregano. And for our stuffing, we're gonna use some riced cauliflower, beans, corn, some tomato sauce, and some tomato paste to thicken things up. And then, of course, cheese to make everything nice and delicious. Let's get into it. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and use a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna get our poblanos into the oven. My oven's preheating. I've got my toaster oven going to 350 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our 3 poblano peppers on here. We're just gonna use a little bit of oil on each of them. And you can do this with your hands or you can use a brush. I'm gonna use a brush today just because it makes sure to get into every single little crevice, little nook and cranny. So we're gonna take our brush, get our oil all over these poblanos, and then we're also going to roast 1 tomato. Not a huge one, just 1 plum Roma tomato. We're gonna fit that on there, and 1 jalapeno. Make sure we get oil on everything. And we're gonna go ahead and throw this into our 350 degree oven and start prepping the rest. So we're gonna get started with our rice filling here. Just gonna chop 1/4 of a white onion into some thin slices. Wonderful. And we've got our pan heating up. I've got some avocado oil in here. Oh no, olive oil this time. Want to get that flavored into our rice. Move all of our oil around. Let that preheat, and while that's preheating, we're just gonna make sure we got everything else prepped and ready to go. Push this onion to the side, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple cloves of garlic. For our rice, we're making about probably half a bag of this cauliflower rice, so I'm gonna use 2 cloves of garlic. Want to cut the stem of the garlic off. Peeling garlic's a pain in the but. I meant but. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this garlic, pound it down. We're gonna mince it, so we're gonna chop it into some nice, fine, little slices. I'm gonna check on my oil once I've got a good mince on this. It doesn't need to be super, super minced up because we're gonna cook it anyways. So we got that. Ooh, our oil is hot, smoking over here. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that down, let it cool off. So we're gonna leave that on a low heat. What's going into this oil is gonna be our cut up quarter onion. We're gonna do a handful of our red onion and our garlic with a little bit of lime juice. And you want this on a medium-low heat. We're gonna go ahead and start by putting our onion in. All right, so we got our onion in, we got our garlic in. We're gonna let that go for a little bit. Once you start to see it get a little translucent, we're gonna add in half of a red bell pepper, chopped up, half of a green bell pepper chopped up, and the other quarter of an onion. And I actually used a quarter of white onion in the beginning just because it's not as aggressive with that garlic, so that you get more of that garlic aroma. But in the second quarter of an onion that I'm gonna add in is red onion, because it's a little bit more pungent and aggressive, and it's really gonna balance the red and green peppers. You guys can use yellow, white, red onion as much as you want. I would just use half of whatever onion you have most of the time, but in this case I had both, so might as well use them both. So we're actually gonna add in a little bit of extra habanero as well. So we're gonna go ahead and slice off the top here. Be careful when you're cutting these. I know some people will use gloves. I'm an idiot, so I'm not. These are definitely very, very spicy. Don't wanna mess around too much with it. So we're just gonna get nice thin slices of our habanero here. So I'm gonna give it one more nice fine chop. And we're gonna put that in, seeds and all. If you're not huge on heat, I wouldn't put the seeds. I mean, I wouldn't put habanero in general if you're not huge on heat. But if you wanna try it, I would go without the seeds first and then work your way up from there the next time you're making this recipe. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in, give it a little mix, and let everything congeal. And then we're gonna go ahead and open up our tomato sauce and tomato paste. We'll go sauce first. We're gonna use that paste as a thickening agent. So once you got your tomato sauce open, we're gonna start by using about half of the can. This is a 8-ounce can, so we're gonna start with just 4 ounces of our tomato sauce at first. Once we got our tomato sauce in, we're gonna go ahead and add in our black beans and our riced cauliflower. So we went ahead and we threw our corn in there too. Now we're gonna let that sit. The biggest difference between using riced cauliflower versus regular rice in this recipe is you're gonna need a lot more liquid when you're using regular rice. So the flavor gets a little bit different. You're starting to infuse that flavor a lot earlier on when you're cooking with regular rice. In this case, we're gonna let the frozen chunks of riced cauliflower build up the water into our broth, or into our rice. And we're gonna use that broth that then comes off of the frozen cauliflower. We're gonna add in our vegetable bouillon and make everything congeal once the riced cauliflower is already in, as opposed to before putting the rice in. So we're gonna go ahead and check on that. I've got it on a medium heat. Added the corn and everything, letting that simmer and letting the water come out. Once the water has come out, we're gonna add in some of our tomato paste, the rest of our tomato sauce, and a little bit of cilantro and habanero, and our spices. So let's get into it. In here, I went ahead and I added 4 tablespoons of our bouillon, 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper, a half tablespoon of cumin, a half tablespoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of salt, and last but not least, my favorite ingredient, our taco seasoning. You can use anything here. If you use the old El Paso or whatever envelope of taco seasonings you get, I like to make my own at home. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of that, or about half of a packet of taco seasoning. Beautiful. And we're gonna get all those flavors to come together by adding in our tomato sauce and tomato paste. We're looking pretty good on the thickness and consistency. So I haven't opened up the tomato paste that we needed. Went ahead and just put in the rest of the tomato sauce. Went ahead and covered that up. Should be good here in a few minutes. While we are waiting for that rice to finish up, we're gonna chop up a handful of cilantro to garnish our rice, and we're gonna grate up our cheese. So, we're gonna take our cilantro, and as always, we're gonna do a nice fine chop. Make sure you watch your fingers. You wanna use a little bit of a claw technique and let your knuckle guide the knife. Perfect. Now push that aside here on our cutting board. Whoop. And we're gonna grate our cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and grate it into this bowl here. Don't need the cilantro with it. Grab my grater. I've got sharp cheddar today. Usually I like Colby Jack in my stuffed peppers, but this is what they had, and this is what we're gonna run with. We're gonna use about a quarter of the block, no more than that. This doesn't need to be overly cheesy, but the cheese is something that combines everything together and adds a little bit of extra flavor to your peppers. Once we got about a quarter of our block of cheddar grated, that's about a cup of cheese. And we're gonna chat on our rice. You wanna make sure that the rice, you're taking it and flipping it and not trying to scrape the bottom too much so that it can settle. And our goal is to make this rice dry. So we're gonna go ahead and put the lid back on, let the water come out of the rest, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and we'll be right back. We have got our roasted poblanos, careful of the heat, and our roasted tomato and jalapeno. I'm gonna go ahead and chop our roasted jalapeno and tomato up, and we're gonna throw that into our rice. Ooh, that smells delicious. Can you guys smell that? Oh my gosh. And I'm just gonna take the skin off of our tomato here. Be careful, it is very hot, but if we can just get all of the skin off here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grab a pair of tongs so that I can hold on to the tomato as I'm cutting it. And you can get rid of the stem at the top. You can go ahead and toss that in the trash. And we're gonna go ahead and add in our cilantro, roasted tomato, and roasted jalapeno. So we went ahead and got in our roasted veggies into our rice. Now we're gonna deal with our poblanos here. You wanna let it cool a little bit, just so that it's cool to the touch. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the skins off of our peppers. You can also do this with the back of your knife. Just go ahead and scrape it along the back. And you can peel the skin back, take it off, just keep peeling back. Whereas we're peeling our poblano peppers, we went ahead and took our rice off the heat. I'm gonna get our chorizo going on some of the heat. That way we can do it both ways, one vegetarian and one non-veg. Okay, once you've got your chorizo and everything mixed, we're gonna go ahead and turn the heat off and bring those both up to the front. And we are gonna go ahead and grab our poblano peppers. This is at a point where it's just about to come apart. You can feel when you pull on the poblano pepper a little bit, you can feel it start to give, but it's not giving because it's still got some strength. So we're gonna go ahead and take our paring knife or a smaller knife. I wouldn't use your chef's knife for this just because I think it's a little bit big and a little bit more high risk to cut yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and stab my poblano pepper right in the center, and then I'm gonna cut it open just like you would cut anything open with a letter opener. Just right down the side, just like a butterfly. You can open that up and see all of its beauty. And we're gonna go ahead and pull out our seeds. Now your rice and your chorizo rice, these are already a meal right here sitting and waiting for you. But this roasted poblano pepper is just gonna help us elevate that one step further once you've gotten all the seeds out. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stuff 2 of these with our chorizo mix and 1 with our vegetarian mix. So I wanna get a spoonful into the pepper. Then I wanna come back with a little bit of cheese. And then 1 more spoonful into the pepper. All right, so once we've got our peppers nice and stuffed, we're gonna use the rest of that cheese just on top. And of course, if you're vegan as opposed to vegetarian, repeat the same process we did for the vegetarian and go ahead and use your favorite vegan cheese on top. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this right back in the oven at 350 degrees. All right, so we've got our final poblano. Dress it up, make it look pretty for you guys. We're gonna come in here. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna need a knife. We're gonna get a nice little slice of our roasted pepper here. Make sure we get a good chunk and bite of our riced cauliflower in there. We're gonna go ahead and get a good bite of everything. Cheers. Before I get this bite in, everybody make sure you like, subscribe, comment below, and let us know what your favorite stuffed pepper recipe is. Poblanos, green peppers, jalapenos. Let us know, maybe we can make it next time. That is delicious. You get a little bit of the heat from that habanero and from the jalapenos, but it's all calmed down from the cheddar cheese and that pepper.